2011 FIBA Oceania Championship. The road to the 2012 Olympics in London starts right here. We're at the Cage in Melbourne, where the Australian Boomers play host to their trans-Tasman rivals, the New Zealand Tall Blacks, in Game 1 of their best-of-3 series. Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Carfino, along with five-time Olympian, that's a lot of years clocked up, as a Boomer, Andrew Gaze. And this is a dangerous game for Australia. New Zealand execute very well.
Absolutely it is, Steve. I think New Zealand have really put their mark on international basketball over the last 10 years, and any team with Kirk Penny running around in the lineup is always going to be dangerous. One of the premier scorers in the world, and the Boomers are going to have their work cut out for him trying to contain him.
And Australia have got to shoot the basketball well from the perimeter.
And that's not their strength. They're very, very strong on the low block, got some real tall timber down there, but their strength on the perimeter is marginal. Paddy Mills makes a big difference because he can get into the seams and penetrate and create the help for the dish to create good scoring options. Whether or not the Boomers can knock them down, we'll wait and see, but there's some big challenges ahead.
Roger Aldridge is running the sidelines for us tonight here at the Cage, and he caught up with Brett Brown.
And also some local-based talent that you've managed to put together.
I'm so proud of these guys with the commitment that they have made. I'm happy to go to battle with the group that we have. Andrew Bogut will be on our bench with us. And, you know, it's just a big night. A lot of work has gone in toward preparing for tonight.
Some great form in the London Invitational event at the Olympic venue over there. You're hoping to carry that, obviously, into tonight. Do you think you can?
I think we can. You know, I think that I don't believe we've skipped steps. I think that, you know, we understand that we're playing against a very good New Zealand team. They're very well coached. They've been together for a while. But we go into this quietly confident that we've done the work necessary, and I think that, you know, it's going to be a very physical game, and we look forward to that.
I don't want to build the pressure, but Olympics only come around every 4 years, so there's a lot riding on this little series, isn't there?
There's a huge responsibility that I feel, and I know our players feel, to the basketball community and themselves. And I think that, you know, it starts with the preparation leading up to this this very important series, and I feel comfortable where we're at.
Brett, I'll let you go and mastermind a Boomers victory.
Thanks very much.
Brett Brown right there, highly credentialed, but you know about all this pressure.
Oh, yes.
You have to perform at your peak at the right time.
You most certainly do, and let's not forget 2 years ago, Australia lost this series, the Oceania series, to New Zealand in a 2-game series, but the Boomers come out with a very nice starting lineup. Alex Merritt, Matt Nielsen, going to be very, very difficult for the New Zealand team to match up on, and out in the wings, you got Paddy Mills running the point, and Brad Newley and Joe Ingles. A very formidable starting lineup for the Boomers.
Yeah, sure is. And their opponent tonight, the New Zealand Tall Blacks, and this is a team that have nothing to lose, really, because everybody's expecting Australia to win this game, but they have given Australia all kind of fits over recent years, and Roger Aldridge caught up with their head coach, Nenad Vucinic.
Thanks for joining us. A last start win against the Boomers, although quite a while ago. Does that give you any confidence heading in this time?
Look, of course, give us confidence. It does give us confidence, but it's a whole new ball game now. 2 years later, we have to see who has improved more than of the two teams.
And it's a real cutthroat series. 3 games, Olympic qualification. It's a long way to the Olympics if you don't win this series. It's a lot of pressure.
Absolutely, a lot of pressure. The qualifying tournament, it's a tough proposition for either teams. We don't really think about the Olympics that much. We think about trying to beat the Australia in those 3-game series.
Paddy Mills in the Boomers side, obviously an NBA player. Is he one that you particularly target?
You cannot target just him because Australia is a team of talented players, and if you focus on one player, somebody else is going to hit you. But obviously, Pat Mills is a very fast player and not easy to contain, and that's something, one of the main tasks we have to do.
Nenad, good luck tonight. Thanks for your time.
Thanks very much.
And have Vucinic there, the head coach for the New Zealand Tall Blacks. And as we mentioned, talked about their execution. And we talk about, let's talk about how they beat Australia last time to qualify for the World Championships.
Well, they've got some great talent. And you look at some of the players that are going to feature in this series that need to feature for the Tall Blacks. Young fella like Thomas Abercrombie, he's been a sensation with the Breakers. Also, you've got a very experienced point guard in Mark Dickel who can really control the tempo, and that's critical, and he's had success on the international stage. You've got a tremendous workhorse in Mika Vukona, undersized but a rebounding fool and really plays his role. But the creme de la creme, Kirk Penny, who can fill it up from anywhere on the floor.
He really is world class, isn't he? He was second at the World Championships in scoring behind Argentina's leading scorer.
Luis Scola, and averaged 24 points a game across a World Championship series. That is a fantastic performance by Kirk Penny, and a lot of his work comes away from the ball. So he is reliant on getting supply, and Mark Dickel, although he's getting on in years, 35, 36 years of age, he's still got some juice in those legs, as we saw with the Sydney Kings for periods during the last NBL season.
With the Australian team, they have a number of players that have featured overseas in Europe, and so they are looking very strong. It's time for the national anthems. I believe the New Zealand national anthem is first, and really, it is beautiful.
It's a beautiful one. A little bit of Maori, a little bit of English, but it's one of the better anthems going around, Steve. Very uplifting.
The basketball community tonight mourns the passing last Saturday of Charles Ryan, who has been a tireless and energetic worker for basketball in Victoria and Australia. Charles was president of the Dandenong Basketball Association, vice chairman of Basketball Victoria, member of Basketball Australia's High Performance Commission, and a member of the WNBL Commission for many years. He proudly helped many players achieve their dreams of playing basketball at their highest level, many for Australia. Our condolences to the family. Charles Ryan will be sadly missed in our sport.
E hoa atua o ngā iwi matora a ta whakarongona me aroha noa ki ahua ko te pai ki a mana ki mai a te aroa, God of nations, at thy feet, in the bonds of love we meet. Hear our voices, we entreat, God defend our free land. God Pacific's triple star, from the shores of strife and war, make her praises heard afar. God defend New Zealand.
Carol Barlow with the New Zealand anthem, both in Maori and English. And now, the Australian national anthem, Liz Gaunt.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is good by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing. Advance
two countries with their pride on the line. The Australian Boomers and the New Zealand Tall Blacks will be back right after this break with first quarter action. Can feel the intensity. Cut with a knife here at the cage in Melbourne. Game one, the best of three series between the Tall Blacks of New Zealand and the Australian Boomers. And the prize is the placing at the Olympic Games in London 2012.
And Steve, there is no greater prize in sport than representing your country on the Olympic stage, and that's what these 12 athletes are trying to provide for Australian basketball, and they have an almighty challenge up against them. We've seen the New Zealand, a little bit of passion in the haka, and that man there, Brett Brown, carrying the weight of a basketballing nation on his shoulders.
And it is a very big weight too, because in my opinion, Australians have too high of an opinion of where Australia should finish when people start talking about they have to get a medal. I mean, the countries that miss out on the Olympics, it's astounding the talent that doesn't get there.
And right now we've got the European Championships going on over there, and all those great countries competing for 2 spots, and Australia here trying to beat New Zealand. And the problem we have here in Australia, it's taken for granted that all we have to do is show up against New Zealand and we're going to get the win. That is not the case. If you look at the history books, Steve, Australia is 64-3 against New Zealand. So they go in supremely confident with that record, but the most recent history 2 years ago, the Tall Blacks were able to get the nod over a very talented Australian outfit.
And to show you how important this game is here, we've hired some extra guns, right?
Big
As
guns.
if Andrew Gaze doesn't have enough credibility to call this game 5-time Olympian. We've gone all out right here because we got last year's National Basketball League Coach of the Year, Trevor Gleeson. He's come from Townsville. Now he's in Melbourne, back in his home state of Victoria. Talk about pressure. He's got a serious lineup, but he's looking pretty calm.
I certainly am. Thank you, guys. It's great to be on this side of the action with you guys, the professionals, but really looking forward to this game. This is going to be a cracker, and I can't wait for it.
And we are just about underway as Alex Marich goes upstairs against Pleasure. The ball goes to Lindsay Tate. He's running some point. Kirk Penny in the backcourt, of course, and this New Zealand starting 5 is a very good one.
Joe Ingles has got the early assignment on Kirk Penny, and that's what he's got to deal with. What a start for Kirk Penny. Joe Ingles up and in, and really trying to put some pressure, but Kirk, although he's renowned for splashing the 3, he can put the ball on the floor.
He certainly can, and what a way to start the game. Open layup.
Matty Nielsen, the captain for Australia, tries to tap it to Marich after the ball's knocked out of his hands. And New Zealand showing the intensity early. Vacona turns the corner. Pump fake shot over Matty Nielsen's a good one.
And that is just craftiness by an undersized big man. He is just perfect for the international game, Mika Vacona. Brad Newley, this has been the Achilles heel of the Boomers over the past 5 or 6 years, has been their perimeter shooting. They were 1 of 24 a couple of weeks ago, and they've started this game 0 for 2.
And 2 very good looks outside the 3-point line by Brad Newley, and Patrick Mills not able to get it, and Australia yet to score. Penny again on a pump fake gets one of the Australians up in the air. It was Joe Ingles. Newley with the defensive rebound. Gets it to Nielsen. Skip pass to Patty Mills. Another good look outside the 3-point line. Bingo, it's a 1-point game.
Good look by Patty Mills. The 3-point attempts already by the Australian team. All 3 of them wide open. And Patty Mills, that time, you cannot leave a premier shooter like that wide open.
Yeah, well, they've had 3 wide open looks. New Zealand will be worried about that. They're trapping, they're rotating. They're a little bit slow out of the blocks on the second man rotation, but 3 open looks, you're going to knock one down.
And it's interesting, guys, Andrew, talking about the Achilles heel being shooting for Australia. At the Olympic Games, there are so many teams, if they get a good look, it's going down.
It is. It's why these days in the international game, if someone's wide open, you're really surprised if it doesn't go in. Australia doesn't have a Kirk Penny type on their team, so they've got to find different ways to get scoring opportunities, and that's a pretty good one with Brad Newley in the open court trying to get to the rack.
Started by some good hands of Alex Marich, who's having a stellar career in Europe. Alex Pledger with the miss, and Mika Vukona getting an offensive rebound to Lindsay Tate. That is not even close.
Mika Vukona doing what he does best, and there's a off-the-ball screen, a little back pick by Matty Nielsen, and just a moving screen called, trying to free up his teammate. We take a look at the replay, and there you see it, just not in position, and gives a little whack to Thomas Abercrombie.
Matty Nielsen will take his professional basketball skills to Russia this next season.
Played in Greece last season. Had a lot of injury concerns throughout the season, so he comes into this series really trying to get back on track, and there's a foul. A soft one on Paddy Mills. Lindsay Tate is a warrior. We've already seen him miss a three-point field goal attempt. He's not going to be an explosive scorer, but he is capable of tipping in, and he creates off the dribble.
Tate, little hesitation to Pledger. He can't handle that pass. Newley to Nielsen. He finds Marich. He's fouled. He'll get it to go. He'll go to the line to complete a three-point play. Good execution on a high-low from Nielsen to Marich.
Getting that ball out in the fast break. Brad Newley was able to come up with it and put some pressure on the Kiwis, and they certainly were on the back foot on that play. Good dish off underneath. Strong finish from the big fella.
And really that's going to be the strength of the Boomers you would expect in this entire series. You look at these two fellas out there, Matty Nielsen and Alex Marich, but they've also got AJ Ogilvie, Aaron Baines, some big bodies to come in off the bench. Got some real depth in that big man department.
Brett Brown, the Australian Boomers coach, Andre Lamanis, after his championship season for the New Zealand Breakers, one of his assistant coaches, Marty Clark, of course, from Adelaide. They had in different years, but all working for the Australian cause. Lindsay Tate, they'll give him that one. Maybe not so wide open, but they'll encourage him to shoot that. Joe Ingles, after another rebound by Marich. Mills in rhythm, catch and shoot from the corners, no good. Marich on the offensive glass, works double time, can't get it to go. Pledger to Abercrombie. Comes up against another good athlete, a very awkward step, but he gets the shot over Newley.
They are letting them play. There's bumping, there's grinding, there's slapping. They're going after.
Ingles to Mills. He puts it on the floor, gets in the lane. His floater is good. NBA polish.
And that's that first quick step, and the acceleration is great, but the de-acceleration when you get into the paint to still have that control to flip that ball up and put it in the basket is also very difficult to teach.
Nobody looks happier than our extra commentator, Trevor Gleason. Of course, Patty Mills will be lining up for the Melbourne Tigers. I looked over at Trevor, he was like, ooh.
That's helpful. Hopefully it will help my coaching skills this season. But a couple of interesting matchups out there. Newley's picked up Abercrombie and Ingles on Penny. So watch out for those two coming off the screens and see if they can really disrupt the New Zealanders.
Outside of that first play, Joe Ingles has done a good job of keeping the ball out of Kirk Penny's hands. There you see Paddy Mills again, Alex Marich. He's been doing his work for Panathinaikos last season. He too had some significant injuries throughout the season. Playing in the Greek League, a very strong Greek competition.
Penny.
Oh no.
Oh my.
That is world class. Just no dribble, very little space, and he's able to knock down a three. Wow.
That was kind of a half rip through, half elevate, all in one motion. Newley throws it away. Good hands by Nielsen to get it to Brad Newley for the jam. Australia making something out of nothing, giving themselves the 2-point lead. Bacona. And that's tipped by Brad Newley. Will be going the same direction.
Some substitutions for the Boomers. AJ Ogilvie comes in for Alec Marriage. And a former Melbourne Tiger, Dave Barlow. He's the last couple of years been playing in Spain, doing some good work. He again will go back to Spain. Won a championship with the Melbourne Tigers, Dave Barlow.
He's got that European
haircut,
Luis Scola look.
But the old shoestring, yeah, not wrong.
Nielsen tries to get a hand up on Kirk Penny. Hello, he's hot. Nielsen in the other direction gets almost all 3 points back.
Now Joe Ingles will be feeling a bit hard done by because there's not a lot more he can do, but as Kirk Penny can get it away, he's going to make it, as we've seen already. And Mika Bacona, he usually does his work around the basket, and he starts knocking them down from the perimeter.
Mills looking for a teammate. He finds Joe Ingles. He elevates over Kirk Penny, and it is a shootout at the cage.
Look at the coming off the screens. Brett uses a lot of misdirection with the Boomers. You can see Joe coming up and setting the screen and coming off a flare screen. You'll see a lot of that tonight.
Off the ball foul, this time Mika Bacona trying to free up the superstar Kirk Penny. And Joe Ingles does a good European job of acting out, or perhaps accentuating the contact of the screen.
Well, that was very
Sells it well. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
Well, you were selling it with that comment very well. Well, as hot as Kirk Penny is, I don't know if he needs an illegal screen. He has put on a shooting clinic so far. We've seen from both teams the ability out on the floor. Nielsen has a shot blocked from behind by the very athletic Thomas Abercrombie. I believe the foul is elsewhere.
Number 12, BJ Anthony, first personal.
Fouls on number 12, BJ Anthony.
Nielsen's on the line.
A couple of New Zealand players had legendary fathers who played in the New Zealand NBL. BJ Anthony's one of them. Also Corey Webster.
Yes. Basketball very strong in New Zealand right now. And you're seeing evidence of it here tonight.
Nielsen gets the second one to go. As Australia the 3-point lead. Mark Dickel into the game. Suited up for the Kings last year. Kirk Penny with another bomb. He was just testing to see how hot he was.
Trevor, I'm having a look at Kirk Penny, and you look at just his body shape. He is in absolute pristine condition, but for mine, he's slimmed down a little bit. Last year, he really looked like he'd hit the weights and bulked up, but just a little bit more defined, and as such, perhaps giving a little bit more mobility. There's Casey Frank down low, and look at the hustle on him. He's a naturalised Kiwi.
It'll be interesting to see how Kirk goes against that little bit extra height. In the NBL, he's a superstar, and he's probably not used to that extra length that Joe Ingles presents to him every time down the floor, and you've seen that last time with a great challenge at the top of the keyway.
It is, and we see a substitution coming on again. Joe Ingles, he checks out of the game, and Adam Gibson comes in. So it's either Barlow or Gibson you expect to go on to Penny, but Penny takes a break. That's probably the reason why Brett Brown's decided to rest Joe Ingles, like for like. And the Gold Coast Blaze, Mark Worthington checks into the game, replacing Matty Nielsen.
We've got a mix of officials here tonight internationally. We've got Jose Martin, Michael Aylen from Australia, Jose Martin from Spain, and Gavin Fu. And from behind, Patrick Mills is fouled. He'll go to the line for 2. Showing you his quicks.
Patty Mills, You see there, fakes the three-pointer because we all know that he can make it from that range. Although the three-point line's moved out, still not as far out as it is in the NBA. It's about 25 centimetres closer than the NBA range. So Paddy's proven that he can hit the NBA range, and as such, you've got to respect that. And anytime you've got a defender running out to guard that, he can just put it to the floor and use that lightning quickness to get to the basket. He checks out of the game, and Matthew Dellavedova from the University of St Mary's coming onto the floor. He's played the last 2 years there and done a great job at the NCAA collegiate level.
You can see both teams rotating pretty heavy. The second group's on for the Boomers here at the moment, an extended defense.
Fickett in for New Zealand. Kind of a mature player who's done some good work for New Zealand, representing his country. He's had a lot of success in their domestic league. BJ Anthony.
Wasn't a pretty offensive set, but they were able to find a way to get it into Anthony down low.
Adam Gibson has at the top, shot clock down to single figures. Mark Worthington splashes one about a foot and a half outside the three-point line. 22-16, the Australian Boomers.
Good signs for Mark Worthington. I tell you, the biggest difference I noticed watching the Boomers this time around as opposed to last year at the World Championships, a lot of their offensive sets, they're doing a lot more work away from the ball, a lot more away from the ball cutting action. Last year, a lot more with the ball. So some subtle changes that Brett Brown has made to his offensive structure after the experience at the World Championships last year.
Definitely so. He's got the big boys cleaning up on a lot of pick-the-picker action, as you can see, which is really hard to defend for the New Zealanders at the moment.
Casey Frank from three-point range, and that's not the option for New Zealand.
If he wants to shoot that, I'm sure the Boomers will give him an invitation to shoot the three ball most times down the floor.
Has he been in the same haircut studio as Barlow, or something going on there with the shoestring that I'm missing?
Worthington off the mark with his shot from the wing. He gets it from his NBL teammate, Adam Gibson. Dellavedova on a curl cut to Barlow. His little fall-away jump shot in his old familiar grounds. The cage is good.
Just now you see the Tall Blacks go to their second lineup. Well, primarily their second lineup. The Boomers just starting to get on top of them now. Tough shot again. Every possession, hard work. When you consider some of the extraordinary shots that Kirk Penny's had to make for his 8 points, the Boomers doing a very, very good job on the defensive end.
And I think it's pretty obvious that the Australian Boomers, with all that size, is getting it over him. Australia 24 and New Zealand 16 as the Boomers continue to show their dominance with the depth. Just a look at some of the faces that are representing Australia. The Australian Boomers looking to get the first bite on this best-of-3 series between their trans-Tasman rivals, the New Zealand Tall Blacks. Well, I want to say the New Zealand Breakers. I'm really
struggling. It's hard, isn't it?
I have to keep pausing.
I've had to catch myself a few times, and it's a lot of the New Zealand Breakers feature in this team, both from a playing perspective and also on the coaching staff. Dylan Boucher, one of the assistant coaches for New Zealand.
New Zealand off the mark and off the jump, got a good look. Dellavedova just throws it up in the air to A.J. Ogilvy, and that inside presence of Australia has been consistent throughout the night.
I know Kirk Penny's got to get his rest, and it's going to be a long series, a lot of games in a short period of time. But since he's gone off the floor, the scoreboard stopped ticking over. And it's not just about what he can do in his own scoring, it's the attention that he creates that opens up opportunities. So It's been a tough couple of minutes with Kirk Penny on the bench for the New Zealand Tall Blacks.
Anthony, another shot that I'm sure Australia will give them all night. Anthony and Casey Frank have to launch outside the three-point line. Kirk Penny with his ability to spread the defense out because no one man can guard him. At the international level as well. Anthony, he must be able to stroke that thing because they are picking and popping and going to him. Dellavedova, strong drive to the hoop. And Ogilvie can't get the tip, but after 1 quarter of play, it's a solid offensive performance by the Australian Boomers. 26 over the New Zealand Tall Blacks, 18. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Cage here in Melbourne, home of the Melbourne Tigers, but tonight it features Game 1 of the 2011 FIBA Oceania Championships. Game 1 here between the Boomers and the Tall Blacks. First quarter going to the Boomers. Worthington on a nice pass to Barlow.
Ooh. That was a touch and go one on my first look, and the Boomers, they shot the ball at 53% in that first quarter as opposed to only 42%. Have a look at the little handoff here. Wow, unlucky for Casey Frank. On replay, in my opinion, that's a charge.
I think he got there, you're correct.
And also on the glass, the Boomers out rebounding the Tall Blacks 12-8. If the Tall Blacks are going to win this series, they at least have to break even on the glass, you'd expect, Trevor.
Yeah, pretty disappointing that first quarter with them. Obviously, they got a few on the offensive boards, but New Zealand are going to have to change it up here a little bit. I'd like to see Vicona let loose and trap the ball handler in the backcourt. You might see a little bit of a change-up zone defense here shortly with the Tall Blacks.
And Trevor, New Zealand's lineup, for a while there, they didn't have anybody to shoot the ball.
Yeah, and look, Lindsay Tate is a really streaky shooter. Then you got Casey Frank shooting some, and the big fella Anthony. So, and here we go again. There's a... Wow. There it goes. Baggett, he knocks one down. Unbelievable. But look, the Aussies won't be too bad about that. But putting 28 points up early in the game, the New Zealanders will have to do a better job defensively.
Dellavedova on a sweet pass to A.J. Ogilvie.
Wasn't it? It was real quick. Good recognition by Matthew Dellavedova. And
he's deceptively tall, too.
He is, and he's a very, very good defender. Doesn't have that explosive foot speed, but plays with real head smarts, good basketball smarts.
Vicona with the pump fake got 2 Boomers upstairs. Got that one on Mark Worthington, even though he got A.J. Ogilvie up in the air on that pump fake. He may have shuffled those feet while the guys were in the air, though.
Have a look at it. There's a little one. No, that left foot stayed anchored to the ground, Steve, and good play, good call. I tell you what, this New Zealand team, very, very unselfish. They are a team in every sense of the word. They've had a lot of experience playing together over an extended period of time, and it really does show in the way they distribute the ball and find each other on the offensive end.
Here you see the 2-2-1 full court press falling back into a 2-3 zone.
Really token though, it wasn't all that aggressive. Oh!
Dellavedova gets underneath the body of Mika Vicona.
But I think, Andrew, I think that's what they'll have to do is change things up a little bit, keep the Boomers guessing. The last thing you want to do is let the Boomers get those penetration plays, close shots to the basket. I like some changing up, some trapping, just disrupt the Boomers.
Oh, Mika Vicona is a true competitor. You know, that was kind of a hard knock. He just popped right up.
He is one of the strongest guys that I've ever come across.
Wow. Why not? Casey Frank making a liar out of me, and he's 2 of 3 from the three-point line.
Well, that's a good shooting percentage in anybody's book outside the three-point line. Dave Barlow with that familiar push set shot. Vicona runs into Barlow, no call on the contact. Worthington got a good look outside the three-point line, and again, Australia missed a wide open three-point attempt. Marriage, he just runs over Casey Frank.
And he's a truck. He's got the biggest chest. He's in real good shape, but he's just got that thick body, and he used it to great advantage down low on that occasion. Can create some space for himself.
He is a big unit. One of the better big men in the EuroLeague. And outside the NBA is heralded as one of the best big men in the European competition.
You can see right now that the Boomers are doing a really good job on Kirk Penny. He's not getting free at all coming off those bigs, but you can't leave guys open. Vacona's very comfortable from 15 feet. Casey Frank's dropped 2 in a row from the three-point line. Good scoring avenue so far for the Kiwis.
And Trevor, hasn't Mika Vacona gotten better with that 15-foot shot? I mean, he was always a tenacious rebounder and hustler and defender, but now you got to honor him outside, right around the 15-foot area. New Zealand come down with the stop. Lindsay Tate.
And that's a quick outlet pass. Vacona gets a rebound. But you're right, Mika Vacona, his scout was to let him shoot outside anywhere in the paint. But the last 2 years, he's really stuck some time at that. And look, he's strong defensively and a great teammate to have on the Tall Blacks.
Baseline out of bounds goes to Kirk Penny. They get it out to Henry. And the New Zealand bigs are not afraid of giving it up. Australia dodge a bullet because Mika Vacona was in the passing lane.
Off the ball, I think they're going to call it on Alex Merritt, just trying to establish that low post against Fletcher and creating too much space. I tell you what New Zealand do, you look at their structure, all the stuff happening as we take a look at the replay here down low, just with the hook, you saw the left arm there, not allowing Fletcher to get around, but don't be kind what they do on the strong side. They're all about to penetrate and kick to the weak side. That's what they're primarily looking at in a lot of their offensive sets.
Vacona on a strong rip through. He pump fakes and he gets Alex Marriage to hit him illegally from behind. And Mika Vacona, every time you see him, he's more and more of an offensive threat just with hard work.
It is, and it's a tough matchup because he's athletic enough and strong enough and big enough to play inside, but he can put the ball to the floor as good as most forwards and the guards, so he's a real tough matchup, and that's why I say he is a fantastic international player because of the skill sets that he has, and he's relentless on the boards.
Andrew, I thought he should have been, and no disrespect to Thomas Abercrombie.
I know where you're going, my friend.
I thought he should have been MVP of the Grand Final Series.
You had my vote.
He was awesome.
And the player who was injured, you know, the character of him, that mental toughness that he showed was, you know, that's why the New Zealand's Breakers won that championship.
Right there is probably his Achilles heel from the free throw line.
Mills back into the game for Dellavedova. Patrick with a long one pulled down by Matty Nielsen. And the long arms of Joe Ingles able to save that errant pass.
2-3 zone now by New Zealand. As you mentioned, Trevor, just mixing up. Just being disruptive, giving the Boomers a lot of different looks on the defensive end.
You can see the Boomers on the offense are not really getting through their structure. And that man there, you give him an open look and oh my God, it's gone. It doesn't matter where he is on the floor.
I cannot, you know, and we often have these conversations about guys that should be in the NBA. I cannot understand why he is not playing for somebody in the NBA.
San Antonio Spurs had a very good look at him last season. He went all the way through the veterans camp and just missed out down the stretch, but he has been unbelievable. 32 all. New Zealand and the Tall Blacks all tied up.
Welcome back. We're here in Melbourne for game one of the Boomers and Tall Blacks three-game series, and Australia dominated in the first quarter, but here in the second quarter, it's been the Tall Blacks. How have they gotten it done? I'm looking at my experts.
look, the defence is really working for me at the moment. The New Zealanders are showing a 2-2-1, back into a zone, some trap in the post, really disrupting the Boomers' offensive flow.
Got to look at the big fella, 3-time NBA championship winning team with the Chicago Bulls, Luke Longley, surrounded by some very famous faces in NBL basketball. Dave Simmons, Bernard Copeland.
Cecil Exum.
Cecil Exum was down there. Mark Brakey.
See a little bit of change up again, back into the 2-3. Boomers really haven't got that ball movement that they had in the first quarter. New Zealand are doing a fantastic job there of locking that thing up.
And when you consider the strengths of the Boomers being their interior game, to pack it in and not take the odds, but just concede somewhat to some of the perimeter shots that they might get in it. And again, they mix it up. They go straight back into a man-to-man. So really just trying to be disruptive, and it's working so far.
Matty Nielsen tries to just touch past that one to A.J. Ogilvy. Thought he was shooting and was looking for some rebounding position. Again, that tough matchup with Mika Vakona. He skates right by Matty Nielsen for the Tall Blacks to take a 2-point lead.
Trevor, you can have all the talk about your strategy, defense, weak side rotations, all that type of... If you can't stop the ball, you're going to be behind the 8 ball.
Exactly. He's so strong. Well, the counter to the Boomers, they're playing a lot of pressure, ball pressure defense. They're upping in, and New Zealand are doing a really good job on the penetration.
New Zealand once again executing very well. Over recent years have given Australia fits. And that's the main reason. Kurt Penny,
he's brilliant.
Again, rips it through, gets all the way to the rim for a layup.
He is showing us the complete package as Paddy Mills try to take advantage of some subpar transition defense, but gee whiz. Here you see Paddy, just a little shimmy to throw Lindsay Tate off balance, and he gets to the rack, and he'll go to the line to shoot a couple, but down the other end of the floor. I know we've spoken about him and sung his praises, but he continues to deliver. He's only missed one shot on the game. Already he's got 10 points on 4 or 5 from the field.
I think he's got 12, and Vakona's got 12 as well. So it's 24 out of the 36 are coming from those two guys.
We all talk about the follow-up, be careful.
But you've seen Paddy Mills come on there. That's just the quickness that, you know, you really don't know until you see him live. He's so quick.
5 or 6. You did right from the field for Kurt Penny.
And a couple of ridiculously tough shots he was able to hit. And you often think when a guy's shooting the ball at a rate like that, he's had good looks. He has not had all good looks. But when a guy's that hot, you got to lunge at him.
So a little bit of misdirection. He's open again. That's a very rare occasion that he misses that open.
It is, and that'll be a concern. Brett Brown, although he missed it, it's a concern that he gets it that easily. They do such a good job of setting picks for him as well. They real focus on the offensive end. I tell you what.
Wow. That's Rob Lowe from the perimeter. And Rob Lowe, he is a young, up-and-coming star. Started the under-19 FIBA World Championships as Matty Nielsen hits a jump hook. But here you go.
I like to see the Boomers hit that a little bit more in the post. The Tall Blacks are doing single coverage there. There's no dig on down. I'd go straight back at Nielsen right now and hit him in the post and see if we can get another one.
And Matty Nielsen gets the charge. I just wanted to continue on about Rob Lowe. At the World Championships for men's under-19, he averaged 18 points a game. He shot at 60% from the field and 57 outside the three-point line. So that wasn't a bad shot.
Paddy Mills from NBA range as well.
That time they went straight back down to Nielsen on the block, and single coverage wasn't good enough. They helped down and opened Paddy up.
There he is again. This kid can shoot it. He just missed that one. Loose ball goes to Ingles.
You also got to respect the confidence of the man. He's coming into the playing with the big boys now, and he hasn't hesitated on those 2 3-point field goal attempts.
Matty Nielsen, just too much experience backing down the younger Rob Lowe.
Brett Brown channeling Trevor Gleeson.
Well, but now the New Zealand have to change that matchup up. That's 3 times they've gone to Nielsen on the block, and they've got 7 points out of it.
Lowe. Kurt Penny. One bounce dribble going right. It would have been a surprise if he even touched the rim on that one, because he missed his last one too. That's a layup.
You know, we probably might have a slight bias towards the Boomers, but it is an absolute delight to see a performance that Kirk Penny is putting on here tonight.
Pledger with the rebound. The lead for Australia is 4. They've got 2 shooters in the game now. Abercrombie. He's long, kind of rushed that one.
And in this mix, in this first half, Thomas Abercrombie has probably been left out a little bit. Not a lot. He's not seeing a lot of the ball, and that shot there just a little bit rushed. And he's a man that, when you've seen the progress he's made, MVP of the final series last year, explosive athlete. They got to not lose sight of the fact that he needs to see the ball as well, because he can provide a lot on the offensive end.
He really picked up his shooting last season for the Breakers. Outstanding year. Great numbers. Newley to Dellavedova.
That's a tough shot to make. So coming straight off from the bench in your 17-footer. Would have been looking for something better than that.
Kirk Penny wide open again. That's good. Brett Brown would not be happy about that.
You know, it's no secret. The last 2 months, Brett Brown would have been thinking of the New Zealand Breakers' first, second, third, and possibly 4th option would have been Kirk Penny. And in the first half, the Boomers have not had the answers.
Look who set that one up. It was Vicona backing down on the post. He got the good pass out to the shooter.
Baines can't get the tip to go. Vicona. Brett Brown wanted to travel, and he'll get it this time.
Good smart play by Matty Nielsen. Vicona wanting the contact. Matty Nielsen backed off, it wasn't there, and he just pulled the rug out from underneath his feet. Gets the travel.
Smart play, vet move on the defensive end there. I don't think he's going to match him with his strength down on the block, so he's a little bit too smart for him on that occasion.
And Matt Nielsen, a junior out of Sydney, you don't see that very often. He started late, didn't start playing basketball till he was 14. Newley has the ball tipped away from him.
This is going to be interesting how this last 30 seconds plays out. Boomer's got the ball, looking for 1 possession or a quick 2, but New Zealand will be looking to tie this thing up going into the half.
Patty Mills, he's off the mark. Baines had control of it on the tip. He should go the line for 2.
Aaron Baines, that's his job. He's a great athlete, about 6'10", goes to the glass well, sets a magnificent screen. He just got that big wide body. And not sure what he's like from the free throw line. But the perimeter shot on the offensive end is not his go. Strictly around the basket for
Stay close to the basket, big fella.
Played his college ball at Washington State University. The Cougars.
1.
He had 4 years there. Outstanding career.
Is that in Pullman, Washington?
That's in Pullman, Washington. Once described,
he must have had no other scholarship offers.
Once described by Al McGuire as where elephants go to die. That's how boring it is there.
You're in 8 feet of snow for 6 months of the year. But I'm sure quality education.
We'll see the Boomers here extended defense. Brett Brown really likes to trap this last possession. They'll look to get another possession here, Boomers.
It's a good time to do it when you know that New Zealand are going to be holding up for the last shot.
Correct. They want to milk it down, use that last second.
You need to sit over there if there's no sub, Paddy. Yeah, thanks. What's going on?
Still right out here. This is where the violation occurred.
Okay. Again, don't break the line, Mark. Behind the line.
Dickel. Gets it to Vicona.
They'll look to Worthington to trap again here on the ball.
Dickel waiting for the right time. Vicona has the ball tipped away. Pledger with a good look from medium range. Knocks it down just before halftime. Good bucket by the Tall Blacks as the ball bounced to the right person at the right time. Alex Pledger making it a 2-point game just before the buzzer sounds off here at the cage. Roger Aldridge is on the sideline.
Down here feeling very much like a Smurf with Andrew Bogut. Wouldn't Brett Brown love him out there tonight? Andrew, a disappointing second quarter by the Boomers there going into halftime, just too clear.
Yeah, I think just some easy baskets for him. A couple of the three-point shooters got going, but we're just going to do a better job containing Penny.
Yeah, Kirk Penny seems to be turning on. He looks the key. He looks like he could single-handedly win it for the Tall Blacks. Really got to shut him down.
Well, you got to keep a hand up on him even when he's 3-4 steps around the three-point line. When he gets going, they all get confident. So we're going to try to shut him down. If we can shut him down, we can blow this team out. But if he gets going, he's going to keep him in the game. They're going to have a chance to beat us.
Obviously, insurance issues sideline you tonight. How do you go as a spectator?
I bite all my nails almost down to the bone, mate.
Ladies and gentlemen.
The Boomers leading here at the close. Thanks very much, Andrew, and we'll be back after the break. Australia leading 47-45.
Cage in Melbourne. A lot at stake here as Australia have a game on their hands. All the legends are here. D-Mac, Leonard Copeland, Mark Bradkey, Cecil Exum, David Patrick, of course, the super coach at St. Mary's, where plenty of Australian players have played. And like you predicted, Andrew, we have a fight on our hands with New Zealand.
We most certainly do, and it's been a spectacular shooting display by Kirk Penny. 16 points at halftime, and he's led the way. And despite the greatest of efforts by a number of different players, he's just been able to perform, as has Mika Vicona coming in, doing some work around the baskets. We got some good, the Boomers got some good scoring opportunities as well, and Paddy Mills lit it up. But the latter stages of that second quarter, you really got the sense that New Zealand was taking the ascendancy in the game.
Well, Australia have some talent, but I don't believe there is any more lethal weapon than that man right there. Kirk Penny has been spreading the defense out of Australia and creating opportunities for his teammates. And as you said, Australia are very unselfish. They find the open player, but Australia have had some highlights as well.
They have, and they've shot the ball at a reasonable clip at 45%, only 31% from the three-point line, 4 of 13, and we've seen some very good cameo performances here and there, but really they're working as hard as they possibly can, but I'm not sure they've got the strategy right on the defensive end just at this point in time, because that right there has killed them. Anyone that's put the ball to the floor, and again, Kirk Penny finds his way to the basket, they're really having difficulties containing the ball, and a lot of that's because of the pressure they're trying to get in the passing lanes, and it's worked to the New Zealand Breakers' advantage, because have a look at that, 56% from the field. That is going to be hard to beat no matter who you're playing against, and haven't had a lot of opportunities from the free throw line because they're doing a lot of work on the perimeter. Only had 3 free throw attempts as opposed to 13 for the Boomers, and the rebounding going the way of the Boomers as well. So just some really good shooting by New Zealand have kept them in this game.
Yeah, that's for sure. We've seen really this game has been a game of momentum, and New Zealand has had all the momentum in the second quarter. Mika Vicona is one of those reasons. We spoke about him before the game started, his ability to put a complete game together, and he's been able to score as well, and that's always a bonus.
He is. He's one of those players that he can come out and get 4 points, he can come out and get 20 points, and can have an equally significant game as far as contributing to the team. Tonight he's been able to find the basket, he shot it at a really good clip. He's a fantastic defensive player, one of the best in the NBL, and he's relentless on the board. So he is a handful, and he's proven tonight he's been a handful for the Boomers.
Often you see players who play for their domestic team and they play well, but sometimes guys come out and play even better for their country, and considering the international competition is better, that's amazing.
It is. The great Ian Davies was the best at it. He was an absolute superstar for the Boomers. Very good player player in the NBL, but just rose a few notches when playing for Australia. And New Zealand is very much that. If you look across many individuals, you look at the way in which they're able to extract the absolute very best out of each and every one of them, and full credit's got to go to their coach. I mean, he puts in place some really good strategies to go to the strengths of the individuals.
Well, seen Patrick Mills play internationally, but now we'll get an opportunity to watch him domestically as he will line up for the Melbourne Tigers in the NBL this season. And tonight, after a couple of misses, he was able to get it going with his three-point shot and then a couple of floaters like that.
He is. He's got that lightning first step, and when you combine that, look at that, that's NBA range, and he knocks that down. He's contributed and been very significant, but I don't think we've seen the best of Patrick Mills just at this point in time. He hasn't really smashed his authority on the game as yet, but he's got that capabilities, and again, give credit to the New Zealand of limiting those opportunities, picking him up, making the penetrating lanes hard for him to get to. And when you cut off Paddy Mills, you do cut off a lot of the supply to many of his teammates.
All right, well, you like to save the best for last, and in the individual highlights, we've done just that. Let's have a look at Kurt Penny, because he has put on an absolute clinic, whether it's going to the basket right there or hitting some tough threes, and that was probably the toughest one right here. Just no time or space was able to knock it down. He has just been a shooting machine, such a quick release, getting it to the shooting pocket so quickly, so strong, and has the ability to score, whether he is putting it on the floor and finishing right here, or he is zapping the three-point shot. He has been a lot of fun to watch.
Coming off those screens, they're almost just trying to guard the area rather than guard the man, and they're giving too much space. He's able to split the double. When he comes off that screen and goes up for a shot, he's automatic. 7 of 10 from the field. And the degree of difficulty of some of those, some of the shot attempts that he's had has been up around the 7 or 8 mark. So he's earned his keep tonight, and he's going to be a handful. And you really look at it and say, well, they've tried Joe Ingles, they've tried Matty Dellavedova. If you just keep it to one man, he's too good. You're going to have to consider doubling him, trying to get the ball out of his hands, making someone else beat you.
Well, it looked like Australia had the advantage early in the game. They broke out with 26 points in the first quarter and looking very good. And then it was New Zealand came storming back, tied it up at 32. There's a lot at stake here. These teams are talking about going to the Olympic Games, and talk about the team that loses and has to qualify for it. Talk about the difficulties of that, because I need to know.
Well, that's an absolute nightmare. You consider the European Championships going on. Only 2 teams from Europe get an automatic berth from their championships that are going on right now. So it is going to be very, very tough for any of the non-European teams to get to the Olympics, and you don't want to have to go through that route. So a lot at stake, a position in the London Olympic Games, and right now you'd have to say very much in the balance.
All right, put you on the spot there, but that's why we got Andrew Gaze here. He is Mr. International, 5-time Olympian. We'll be back with second half action from the cage here. Welcome back to the cage in Melbourne. And as I mentioned before, Roger Aldridge running the sidelines for us, and they've got New Zealand's Mr. International, Pero Cameron.
Pedro, thanks for talking to us at half-time. They got you early in the first quarter, but you stormed back really well in that second quarter. It was a very solid performance, your guys.
Yeah, I think the guys tightened up on D, and we had a couple early trying to break out getting some points on the board.
Yeah, Kirk Benny's doing a great job. He seems to be hitting everything, putting on a bit of a clinic.
Yeah, you know, Mick is a very exceptional player, and he's probably the best player on the court, but it's only the first half, another half, and it's an important game.
What was Nanad's message to the boys at half-time?
There's a lot of things we can improve on, especially our D and boxing the guys out. You know, they rebounded well, especially Nielsen.
All right, good luck, Pedro. Cheers.
Pero Cameron. And Andrew, you know, we were talking at halftime about guys that come out and play for their country. He was on the All-Star 5 at the World Championships in Indianapolis.
2002, where New Zealand came 4th in that World Championships, and it was extraordinary performance by New Zealand, and everyone sort of dismissed the Boomers because they lost in 2001 in the qualification series, cost Phil Smythe his job, but the reality was there was a lot more to it than that, and they just had an outstanding team, very well coached by Tab Baldwin, and Pero Cameron actually was getting interest from NBA teams, and he certainly doesn't have an NBA body.
He's a big boy. He's been in the paddock a long time too.
You know, of course, you know, with the World Cup being in New Zealand, you know, in that country, their rugby players are gods. Imagine him with the footy running and you have to tackle him.
That's a difficult challenge, but Larry Brown was the coach or part of the USA coaching team back then and went on to be a head coach of the USA team, and he was the one when he was coaching Detroit that had a good look at Pero Cameron. So he's been respected internationally. Big guy that had the soft touch from the perimeter. Not the greatest athlete you'll ever want to see, but had incredible basketball smarts.
I like to see these second half guys. Who picks up Penny? I'd throw Brad Newley out on him just to give him a different look. You can see Joe was right there. No, he's going to match up on him straight away. Also, New Zealand, they did a really good job from their bench coming in and really giving some extra effort on the defence and knocking down those open threes in the second quarter.
Both teams used 11 players in that first half. They've got 12 at their disposal. 11 of them saw court action and mixing it around. Kirk Penny, we saw what happens if you can take him out of the game, because he was subbed out early on that first quarter and they went from an evenly balanced ball game to get to trail by as many as 10. So right there is evidence enough to say if you can take him out of the game, you give yourself an advantage.
We're having some clock issues. That's why there's been a delay. Players out there waiting to get into the action.
And this is super frustrating. Games in the balance, you want to get on with it for both teams. It really becomes where your leaders of your team have got to be able to group the guys together, keep them focused, keep them switched on and paying attention to the detail, because if you let this start to bother you and your anxiety level goes off, it can have an impact.
Is that Billy Millenhall over there on the bench? Is he the adjudicator over there?
I believe he is.
He got a little bit of growth in the retirement, and I wonder if there's a little bit of grey sneaking into that beard of his.
There is no doubt. Yeah, have you seen my bonds? Many of those greys in my bonds would be attributed to Billy, though. So he
there we go.
Here is a man, I tell you what, he's still looking very, very sharp.
St Kilda colours on too.
Yes. Back pocket player for the Saints.
Sensational referee. A lot of fun with him along the sidelines, and he doesn't run into coaches on the sideline, Andrew. So we like those guys.
And of course, referring back to a little incident you had last year.
Yeah, looking forward to getting back over to Perth this year, and hopefully they'll give us some love with the new team.
I doubt it.
We're set to go though.
Lindsay Tate will bring it up for New Zealand as they try and tie the basketball game up with a two-pointer, of course. Pledger. A solid starting five for New Zealand as they started the same way they started the game. Tate finds Mika Vakona. Jumped up in the air, really nowhere to go. Ingles right back to Newley. Good pass.
Off the board. Real one, tough one. I think it was the right call. As soon as the ball hits the backboard, you're not allowed to touch it until it hits the rim. Here you see, and
it's tough to tell from that angle.
I think it went backboard, then block. Yes, it did. So good call, but you can easily see how that call can be missed because it happened so quick.
Yeah, it was close.
New Zealand came out here a little bit of flat. They're a little bit hesitant with their half-court offense.
Interesting that AJ Ogilvy gets the start in the second half as well, Trevor. Alex Merich, he starts on the bench. He did start the game.
Keep coming, keep coming, keep coming.
Yeah, a bit of a change-up, bit of a different look out there and match Pledge's big body.
Merich had 3 of 5 from the field in the first half, played for 9.5 minutes.
Penny trying to find some space. New Zealand will set it back up. And a half-court set. Penny, after a screen, gets it to Pledger. Shot clock in single figures. Vakona to Penny. Catch and shoot, going left. That's off the mark. Who'll get this? Mills.
Oh, almost threw it into it.
New Zealand have numbers to Pledger. He goes upstairs, out of count.
That's just an unlucky play by Paddy Mills, going in and saving the ball. It hits the ring, and bounces the way of the Tall Blacks, and they take advantage of it and have a chance now to cut the lead to 1.
Yeah, the Boomers were really looking for the breaking out of that. They forgot to secure the ball first before they started to run down the court.
Pledger completes the 3-point play. Takes the lead down to 1.
Substitution coming on. Matty Nielsen checking out of the game.
So that's a big call there, taking Matty out, taking the captain out after a minute 20 in the third quarter.
Get the fouler on the, just check the fouler.
Bit of confusion on who the foul was on. The foul was on Newley. It might have been attributed to Nielsen to start with, but they've got on top of that.
Yes, we got it now.
Okay, so Brett Brown, that's why he took him out.
Yeah. He subs back here. Especially at the international game, getting back to 5 fouls, it certainly makes a big difference with the coaching. You don't want somebody to come on. That's a bad turnover by Pledger.
That's why 7-footers should never handle the ball in the back court.
Stay near the bucket where you're useful, mate.
Just give up on an easy opportunity. Wait till the point guard gets it. Go get in the ball and let them run the show.
I agree, but that was good defense. I believe it was Mark Worthington. No, it wasn't, because he's not in the game. But good defense by Australia, because the initial outlet pass that Pledger was trying to throw it to jumped in denial, and he had to try and throw it to Penny.
That's another one.
Wow.
Okay, I got nothing for that one.
It's a let-off too. Paddy Mills was wide open.
You see a little bit of experience coming in here for New Zealand. They're trying to get an up-tempo game, but you got to secure that ball first to get a shot down the other end, especially in a 1-point situation.
Paddy Mills now 3 of 13 from the field, so he struggled to find the range on the offensive end. Good fake. Good move, AJ Ogilvy. Little head fake. Had the defense helping, spun around, went to his left, and have a look at this. You saw Pledger, he didn't know he was going over to help, thinking the handoff was coming on, and AJ Ogilvy just liking some of his own work and finishing it off.
He's very handy with that left around the basket.
Crafty. He's not that explosive athletic type, but good hands and good touch around the basket. Played last season in Turkey.
Bukona, after a shaky handle, gets it back.
They really need a good set there, and they got a great backdoor option.
Pledger on the offensive glass.
Oh my.
Boy, he was out of control and just barreling in backwards.
Matty Nielsen, I mean, I don't know what the expectation was that he had to do. Have a look at this. There it is, and good work by Pledger. Matty Nielsen just standing, he just gets pushed out of the way, and he gets the foul called on him. My!
And that's a big, that's number 3, so he's...
That is a huge call, and I'm not sure what he could have done to avoid that.
Get out.
And gets him the trip to the bench. Mika Bukona goes strong to the basket. And a good strong rebound by A.J. Ogilvy. The teams have dried up, but they're shooting from the perimeter. Floater off the glass is no good by jumping Joe Ingles. Bukona outside the 3-point line. That's good. New Zealand with a big 3-pointer makes it a 1-point game. Mika Bukona continues to keep New Zealand in the game.
Once he gets his eye in, he can roll off a lot of points, Mika.
Ingles. Ogilvy can't handle the pass.
Ingles just giving up shots on the offensive end there, trying to create a play, but the last 2 times down the floor, real hesitant, looking for his own shot. And that's why you become hesitant when you've got to chase Kirk Penny around on the defensive end. Get you mumbling to yourself and second-guessing yourself on the offensive end. And there's an offensive foul. Everything going the way of the Tall Blacks right now.
Initial reaction was on giving it. He didn't carry on. He had an initial reaction. That was it.
New Zealand won technical foul. We'll get another look at this.
Here we go.
We caught the tail end of that little physical play between Alex Pledger and A.J. Ogilvy. Not a whole lot of disagreeing out on the floor, so you got to figure it went the right way. Lindsey Tate, very soft closeout to him. They want to encourage him to shoot, and he does.
That's where New Zealand have to be disciplined in that. He's either going to be creating on the dribble, breaking pass, making two guys come out in and freeing the shooters up, because the Boomers have been giving that shot up all night to him.
That was a great pass by Joe Ingles to hit Wertho streaking down the floor. Joe Ingles checks out, Matty Dellavedova coming in for Kirk Penny. I hear you with Brad Newley. You think that maybe he'd be worthy of a chance, but he's really put the clamps on Thomas Abercrombie. And sometimes you don't want to rob Peter to pay Paul, and you rather go with your strength and keep Thomas Abercrombie under control.
Oh! Abercrombie bounces right up. That's the problem when you jump that high. You got to fall down, and knocking the three-point shot down is Patrick Mills. A couple of big baskets by Australia. A good pass to Mark Worthington for a layup, and a three-point basket by Patrick Mills, and Australia have run off 5 straight. Offensive foul on the illegal screen. A couple of illegal screens going in different directions.
That was on Mika Vakona. Take a look at it. There you see him just moving. You can't move like that. Paddy Mills trying to come underneath the screen and just shuffling your feet and blocking. Tried to get away with one. Casey Frank has checked back into the game to replace Alex Pledger. So he brings a new dimension for the Boomers. Have to contain now the three-point shot.
Marich may have shuffled the feet before he got that one up. It's a point-blank shot to go.
They might need a timeout very shortly, New Zealand. They've rolled off 7 points to zip and really haven't had a good possession down there.
Vakona to Kirk Penny. Australia picking up the intensity and the physical play on the D. Kirk Penny has to launch a long one. Can't get it off before the shot clock expires. New Zealand look rattled on that possession as Australia turned up the intensity.
Australia did, but on that occasion, it just, the ball was stalling in hands for too long, and the shot clock got away from them a little bit, and Kirk Penny had to throw up a prayer. But they look so much better when they have that ball movement.
Newley a little out of control. Lindsey Tate in a foot race with Dellavedova. They'll give him 2, and Lindsey Tate will go to the line. Try and get this thing a little closer. New Zealand down by 6.
New Zealand needed that. There was a good defensive stop. Probably a little fumble and sloppy with Brad going to the basket, but they needed to keep that pressure up on the offensive end, and now we got Tate on the line for 2.
Exactly, Trevor, when New Zealand needed something to steady them.
Bit of self-inflicted wounds by the Boomers there. Newley going in to the crowd stumbles. Newley just 2 of 6 on the night so far. He's been starved of opportunities as well.
That was very close not to be 2 points for that last possession. Yep,
trying to hit it off the rim.
He came in legally.
Came in legally. He touched the ball and it went into the basket. Okay. Must be a 2. Okay. 2.
That's a good call by Michael Leyland. That was very good coaching.
That's a good pickup by
referee.
Head coach Trevor Gleeson.
As a coach, you look at those things. Any point that you can sneak under the radar?
I reckon Nenad might have given the referee a little reminder of what was going on out there to try and earn that extra point as well.
That turned into a 3-point play, which is huge at this stage. It's 1 possession.
You know who knocks the ball off the rim better than anybody I've ever seen is Matty Nielsen. Worthington with a fall away. He hits a big bucket for Australia. Takes the lead back out to 5.
Hey, Wertho has come up big in this game. Really knocking down the shot.
He plays his best basketball when he's fired up, so don't be surprised if you see a little bit of chin wagging out there, getting into the referees and really being aggressive out there.
Casey Frank for 3. That's off the mark.
Ooh. Alex Merrick throwing the elbows around.
Mark Worthington with a huge screen. Brad Newley for three. That's off the mark. Good hustle by Mark Worthington and Alex Merrick.
Whoop, hello.
Here we go.
It's on.
Pull your players away.
Alex Merrick.
Pull your players away.
Very fiery character.
Brett Brown runs into the court, making sure his team doesn't get involved in it.
And you can see the emotion. Brett Brown's allowed to come onto the floor to help play peacemaker, as is the coach. Have a look at this, down low. Great hustle by Mark Worthington, and there's Mika Vicona. He ain't going to take that from anyone. Grabs the shirt, not a lot in it. A little bit of hugging going on, cuddly type stuff. And
well, they really needed to stand up there in New Zealand. They got two guys knocked on the floor. Vicona went down, maybe an elbow. Then Kirk Penny got hit on a back pick. So they really had to stand up there. And this is where you see New Zealand really go on extra leg. When the going gets tough, they really dig in towards each other.
And with that little argy-bargy, they've pinged Mika Vicona by the look of things. Merrick goes to the line, and that's Mika Vicona's third personal foul. So that comes at great cost.
Thanks for bringing your guys out of here as well. Thank you. No problem. Okay.
Brett Brown trying to do his best, what did you call it? Schmoozing of the referees.
Hey, if it helps.
Absolutely.
Sometimes sugar's better than vinegar. Maybe I should learn that.
I was going to say, are you talking to yourself?
Maybe.
Alex Merrick, though, you see the referees now just want to tighten things up a little bit, get control. So a foul there on Mark Dingle that may have not been called earlier on in the game gets called. Alex Merrick, though, when he was playing in Partizan, got rubbed out because he got into an ugly altercation during the playoff series, all in fight. In fact, games were cancelled because of it. So he can get a little bit fiery, the big fella.
Single coverage again on the block.
Merrick with the jump hook there. And as things get heated up, we got to find out exactly what happened. Roger Aldridge has the story on the sideline.
Yeah, we saw Brett Brown hold his boys back at one end, but right in front of me, three of the Tall Blacks have let the advertising signs ready to go out on court as things started to heat up, and the coaches very much had to hold their players back from getting amongst it.
Abercrombie for three. Hasn't been able to get it going. Dellavedova waits for Worthington, in rhythm for three. Mark Worthington buries a three-point basket, taking the lead, 66-56. 10-point lead for Australia.
Mark Worthington, past experience, he gets fired up and all he sees is red and gets out there and can really rack some points up. But New Zealand are going to have to do something on the post. That single coverage is not really getting it done. I'd like to see him throw a bit of zone in there to throw it out like they did in that second quarter.
Here in game one, Australia up by 10. Australia with a big burst takes their lead out to 11 on that three-point basket by Mark Worthington. In rhythm, in transition.
Early shot, but he's 4 of 6 from the field. He's got 10 points on the night, 2 of 3 from the three-point line, got a couple of rebounds. But what he's also been able to do is work really hard on the defensive end and make life pretty tough for Mika Vicona, who really had his way with the Boomers in that first half. So his impact on the game cannot be understated. So far, Mark Worthington, outstanding.
Well, New Zealand have had two open looks there with Casey Frank and Abercrombie out there. They just got to find that third scorer. Vicona, Penny earned double figures.
Holding off the ball.
Gold nine.
Matty got to look for that third scorer out there.
Absolutely. And Kirk Penny hasn't seen a lot of it in this second half. And Matthew Dellavedova trying to get over the top of that screen. Kirk Penny, he knows exactly what the team foul count is and works his way to the free throw line for a couple of freebies.
Kirk Penny just gets one to trickle in. We've seen him have poor shooting nights at the free throw line.
And fundamentally, his footwork's whatever hand you shoot it with, that foot should be slightly ahead of the other, but he squares right up for the free throw line.
Mills has it thrown out by the athletic Thomas Abercrombie, and here comes Dickel in transition the other way.
Stepped out of bounds.
In and out of bounds, as we've seen that happen so often. You go to get that little extra burst on the explosive move. And step back, we'll get a look.
Just. Left. Just grazed the line.
See some mix-up defense there. Back into a zone, New Zealand.
Mills, pull-up jump shot. Gave it a little bit of a lean to give himself a little extra time and space.
A la CJ Bruton. CJ Bruton does a great job with those types of shots. And Paddy Mills finding his way into the paint. Up to 5 of 15 now for Paddy Mills.
Long arms of Joe Ingles. Deflects the pass. Paddy Mills for three.
A little googly eyes for us as well. He made that famous with the Portland Trailblazers. He and Rudy Fernandez started that little action off.
Penny can't get the roll on his dribble penetration. Worthington to Marich for the jam. That'll be waved off as Worthington runs over Casey Frank. He's got some words for him.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah. One with it.
A little bit of head.
Yes.
Casey Frank just really trying to get into the Maori tradition with a little bit of Eskimo kissing going on with the nose action.
I'm not sure that, well, they might need something here, Tall Blacks, at the moment. Down by 14 with a minute and 20 to go. It's this last little bit's going to really show what's going to shape up for this last quarter.
Not sure.
Talk to me if you want to talk to me. Sub. No, you give me a break. You want to talk to me, you talk to me, not me. You want to talk to me.
Oh, he talked to him all right. He talked right into his mic.
He certainly did. I don't know if he can get away with that in the NBL. But, maybe FIBA's a little bit different.
He wanted to be spoken to and he got spoken to.
BJ Anthony and Casey Frank can't get the lid on that thing.
I guess he didn't yell at him.
No, he did it politely. And that's the value of Mark Worthington being annoying. He suckered Casey Frank into that. Casey Frank had an outstanding play before that, took the charge, but Mark Worthington went onto it and suckered him into that foul right there. Have a look. Here it is. See the left hand come with a little forearm to the bonce? He didn't need to do that.
I've seen Mark Worthington do that to so many players.
He just suckered him into it. And I guess in some quirky way you say, well done, Mark Worthington, because he's earned himself a couple of freebies.
Exactly right. That's a smart head on Mark coming down and got a little bit of a tap on the melon and went forward, took a good dive like all AFL footballers do.
Roger Aldridge on the sideline giving us all the goods.
Yeah, obviously with the physicality comes a lift in intensity, and that's also lifted the crowd, really starting to become a factor here down. They're getting loud, they're getting proud, and the Boomers seem to be lifting with them.
No doubt about that. Into the game for New Zealand is Rob Lowe. And there's that extra perimeter shooter that New Zealand need. Dickel. Shot clock in single figures. Gets it to Anthony. Extra pass. Frigate. Make that fidget, sorry. Well, he missed the shot. I must have put it on him. Mike Fitchett can't get that long-range bomb to go. Adam Gibson into the game for Australia. Worthington for three.
That would have brought the house down.
Kept alive by Joe Ingles. Unsuccessful, and at the end of three, Australia, after a physical quarter, have jumped out to a 73-58 lead. We'll be back.
After all of this is gone.
for the 2011 FIBA Oceania Championships. It's the Australian Boomers up against the New Zealand Tall Blacks. And the winner of this best-of-3 series is going to the Olympic Games.
Direct entry to the Olympic Games. The loser has a chance to go through a final stage of Olympic qualifying, but that would be a nightmare. But great defensive job in that third quarter by the Boomers as Aaron Baines just backs his way again down low against the inexperienced Lowe. But in that quarter, New Zealand was held to only 13 points. They shot it at halftime, they were shooting at 56%. And now they've dropped all the way down to 43%. So really good defensive effort by the Boomers in that third quarter.
And a quick turnover by New Zealand. It's put some added pressure on him here for the next 2-3 minutes.
Baines. Ooh, little turnaround jumper. This time the soft roll as he fakes the jump hook. Turns over his right shoulder and shoots the shot.
That's something New Zealand are going to have to counter. The ball's coming far too easy into the post, and the Boomers are just backing them down and getting some easy 2-3 shots.
Lowe hands it to Abercrombie. BJ Anthony is off the mark. Ball's kept alive by Abercrombie, and Rob Lowe gets the finish. Dellavedova, he splashes a three. The defensive specialist from St. Mary's University gets the three to go. Timeout on the floor. New Zealand have seen enough. The lead is catapulted out to 20. Australia 80. New Zealand 60. And a quick timeout with 8 minutes and 35 seconds to go. And we're back. 20-point lead for Australia as they have looked better in pretty much every area of the game once the intensity was turned. And you always wonder which team is going to benefit from a physical altercation. It's been Australia.
It has been, and they've pounded the ball inside. New Zealand have really struggled with that, and the offensive end, they haven't really clicked like they did in the second quarter, execute in the half court.
That pretty much sums up how the game has gone. Kirk Penny, they've done a better job on him. Dickel lines up that three-point shot. That rims out.
For all the great things that Boomers have done in the second half, I should say, third quarter in particular, on the offensive end, it's really been the work on the defensive end that's been the most spectacular. Just every single possession is like pulling teeth now for New Zealand, just wearing him down.
That's just strong. That's just a man playing against children there.
Wow.
Big boy, the big child he had to play against as well.
He just made something out of nothing right there. Baseline out of bounds play is probably the most difficult thing to defend in basketball with that angle. And that was a man-sized play by Mika Vakona.
And you're right, Andrew, that defense has been outstanding. Don't forget, a couple of games ago, the Boomers held Spain, which is number 2 in the world, to 68 points. So there's some tools there, and Brett's really brought that philosophy into the guys, high ball pressure and to help each other out, and they've certainly shown that in the third quarter.
And where they found the answer was stopping the dribble penetration. Guys being able to put the ball to the floor so easily in that first half, take that away, cut off the scoring option there, and also take away a lot of the supply. Mark Dickel, good quick hands out of Matty Nielsen.
Ledger goes upstairs, but he's challenged by Matthew Nielsen. Good hands again by Dickel, trying to keep it alive for New Zealand. Oh, here we go again.
Oh, this is a little bit more angry than the first one.
There's a lot of guys trying to pull each other off one another.
Now, you cannot leave the bench. Any player that leaves the bench will not be playing in the next game. And you can see the emotion there. Matty Nielsen coming in to try and fly the flag. He's the captain for Matthew Dellavedova.
Foul number 8.
Just wait, slow down.
Number 8, and as for my foul, number 8 and number Nielsen.
14.
Okay, you want one for... Okay, Dickel is now disqualified. Second unsportsmanlike, number 8.
No. First foul, number 8.
Second one?
And as for my foul.
That's his second for the game.
No, it's
he's
number
gone.
8.
Is the same player?
Yes, same player.
Yeah, that was a little bit
He's allowed to come
over.
on to court to break up a fight, not to instigate it.
A little bit over the top there, and
Read the
there'll be
Read the
good
book.
to see what happens there at the
Read the
review.
rules.
We had a couple of guys leave that area, so we'll see what comes
When
in at
he's
the next
come to talk
day
to
or
us,
so.
they held him off.
So Mark Dickel
He's
now
allowed to go there, not to me.
is going to be disqualified from the game by the way I read it. Now, I've been wrong before and I'll be wrong again, but according to my understanding of what we've got on our sheet here, Mark Dickel will be disqualified.
No, it's just on the baseline. It's an ordinary foul. Then there was 2 unsportsmanlike. They cancelled. Your ball baseline.
You're hearing the description of the events by
Here it is.
Michael Aylen.
There's the foul on Mark Dickel. There it is. Oh, gee. There's the unsportsmanlike original. And there's another unsportsmanlike. And there's Matty Nielsen coming in and just supporting his young teammate. And then it's all on young for young and old.
Baseline. Go across.
Gee, Mark Dickel just a little bit angry in his old age there. Took a couple of swipes at the young fella.
I'm fully aware of that.
Brett Brown trying to come in and throw his weight around as well.
Well, Mika Vukona got a pretty good shot too.
He did.
Without getting anything.
Dickel's gone.
Wow, some real emotion in this game.
He's out.
I think Billy might be busy down there on the bench. He's scribbling away.
Boys, both teams got to be careful because, as we've mentioned, this is a 3-game series. These guys got to tip it up again on Friday in Brisbane. And there's Aaron Baines putting an exclamation mark on recent proceedings.
Roger Aldridge had the front row seat on all the action. What's happened, Roger?
Yeah, almost had to duck for cover myself, guys. But obviously after that initial dust up, Matty Nielsen didn't take too kindly to it. He came over the top, got Dickel at a headlock, which Dickel then didn't take too kindly to, and that's where it all boiled over. And just like last time, the benches were cleared and had to be restrained from jumping in there. So, look, a very heated contest down here. This is Trans-Tasman rivalry at its absolute best.
Nice dish to Abercrombie. He's able to get the score as the intensity starts to maybe calm down a little bit. It couldn't get any more fiery. Mika Vukona against his old teammate with the Gold Coast Blaze.
If coaches are allowed to come on the floor, I don't know the status of Andrew Bogut right now, but I reckon he'd provide a bit of an advantage for the Boomers coaching staff, the big 7'1" centre, if called upon.
Standing right behind him.
Every step of the way.
But no, look, it's great the coaches can come on and obviously
Wait a second.
How about the fight?
How about
Not
the coaching
instigate.
staff for New Zealand? I back Pero Cameron.
Good point.
I'd be right behind him. All 3 of us could get behind him.
And the hold up here is because it's the second unsportsmanlike on Mark Dickel, he actually has to leave the bench and go to the locker room. So they've waited for him to be ejected from the game, and the game continues on.
I'm surprised they let him out because that's the same doorman that wouldn't let you and I in the building. Mark Worthington continues to go at a good rate, shooting a great percentage. He's had a great game for Australia tonight.
The Tall Blacks can't let this, you know, that's getting there a little bit of that hand there, but the Tall Blacks have got to stay in this race. Really for game 2, they can't get it blown out by 20-odd points. They've really got to get locked in for this last 6 minutes.
Mark Worthington a little overzealous on showing against Kirk Penny, checking the cutter. And Kirk giving him a look.
Shot clock 15.
Pleasure to Abercrombie. Tate looking for Kirk Penny. Catch and shoot, just rims out. Brad Newley gets a running start on that rebound. Strav had all the answers. Worthington's posting up. Great pass to Brad Newley, but he can't get the finish.
Unbelievable pass. No look up. I think he caught Brad Newley a little off guard.
Bacona in two minds of whether he should bank that one. Bacona spins, throws it upstairs to Pledger. Boy, Bacona is just so... Mika Bacona is so active.
I tell you what, Steve, and Trev, you look at the way New Zealand, and sure they're behind the 8 ball right now, but gee, they do a great job in the half court of executing. The way in which they help each other out, set some picks, and stay disciplined to their offense, it really is a full credit to the way they go about it.
They're very, very well disciplined out there. They just need that extra score to help Kirk out. He's been locked on 22 for a little bit now.
Only rebound I'll get. One.
Well, we've got a long way to go in this game, but what are some of the things we can look for in game 2? Like, you know, that extra guy from the perimeter, the extra scorer could be Thomas Abercrombie.
Well, that's it. That's the one you look at on the numbers here tonight and say, well, you know, he's been serviceable, but you can bank on a lot more out of Thomas Abercrombie.
Alex Pledger's on the line. He's got 2.
And really, the Boomers have just worn them down. Yeah. Just grinded and grinding and grinding and stayed with it. And probably the depth has been an issue too. New Zealand really only go 7 or 8 deep, whereas the Boomers go full 10 deep. 12, in fact.
It's a little bit of a change-up defense in there. Half-court trap back into a 2-3.
Newley for 3 gets a run start and gets the tip jam. Wow!
Tipsy's own 3-point shot. He was off to the race as soon as he let that go. He knew that was missing.
You teach that. You always teach your players to follow your shot, but that is a spectacular finish.
Good day, good day.
Bacona gets it to Thomas Abercrombie, and he gets the 3 on the other end. And that is the player on the other end of the floor capable of that same type of athleticism. But wow, I don't think I've ever seen anybody follow their shot from the 3-point line and get the tip jam.
It set up nicely for him, but you knew straight away he knew he'd come up short, because as soon as it left his hand, he hit the floor and he was straight to the basket, and it just set up nicely for him.
I bet they block him out this time. Abercrombie, 1-on-3. Newley throws it out.
Newley can't throw it in the ocean from the perimeter, but my, is he putting on a display.
Isn't it great to see him back here? We haven't seen him in Australia for 4 years. And Brad's been playing overseas for a long time. It's just great to see his improvement out there.
Dellavedova gets that tough assignment against Kirk Penny, and he is trailing him on those cuts. You talk about guys not giving up once they're screened. He's a very good defender.
He dogs defensively, that's for certain. He's not afraid to get hit and gets after it.
I can promise you this, Dellavedova is not going to have a tougher opponent to coach to play against in the upcoming NCAA season playing for St Mary's. This is a fantastic opportunity for him in his development as well. Dellavedova checks out of the game. Dave Barlow comes in. So now we've got a new look for Kirk Penny. It'll either be Newley or Barlow.
Made it a lot easier for me to go that way.
Penny goes to the line.
Yeah, with Matt Dellavedova, he's really worked his way into this Boomers lineup. He had a great tour over to England and Spain, and he really got the backup spot. Probably pipped out Gibbo there in the backup spot, and certainly in front of Damien Martin at the moment. And he's working his tail off on the court.
Damien Martin, of course, from the Perth Wildcats. He's the only Boomer so far tonight that hasn't seen any court action.
Patty Mills gets it to Nielsen. Newley back to Nielsen. Extra pass goes to Patrick Mills. Australia on the offensive glass.
Full credit again to Brad Newley. Not shooting the ball well, but still got that self-discipline to contribute in other areas. Just been fantastic on the glass.
Barlow The fake rip through, puts it on the ground, going left, can't get it to go. Wacona to Tate, to Pledger. He waits for the on ball. Pledger with a little pick and pop, shoots a brick off the backboard.
And that's not a shot that you want. Your big fella stepping out to shoot, you know, a foot on the line. Can get a better one than that.
Mills. He shoots the long ball off the back of the iron.
Almost daring him to shoot there. Real passive defense on the ball on Paddy Mills.
Barlow trying to hang on to Kirk Penny.
Alex.
See that screen coming.
Barlow doesn't have the pace that you see in Dellavedova and Joe Ingles. Got the size. That time he just put him in a bear hug.
Timeout on the floor. New Zealand, they're going to start licking their wounds and start thinking about game 2 that will be played on Friday night in Brisbane. And then, of course, game 3 will be played in Sydney at the Sydney Entertainment Centre.
Still plenty of tickets available for both those 2 games, so you see a lot of emotion involved in here, and make no mistake about it, this is going to be an absolute war the whole way through.
You've seen it straight away when the intensity got up, the guys got a little bit physical, but New Zealand will be very disappointed in there, and that's just a throwdown. And Matt Nielsen jumps straight on him, and then it gets out of hand. There might be a couple of forearms swinging there too that some people might want to look at. But this last 3 minutes is going to be critical for New Zealand in game 2.
You know, I know Matty Nielsen
There's
was
Joe
right
Ingles.
into it.
Joe Ingles giving Mika Vacona a little cuddle there. Let's not forget those two were teammates with the Dragons, won a championship together.
And what a lineup that was. That was one of the best teams lineup. You had Gibbo, Ingles, Worthington, Vacona, 2 great imports. They bet Townsville in their semi-finals, by the way, in 3 games.
You played them hard.
Yeah.
You played them hard. You gave them a workout.
But this last 3 minutes is really critical for New Zealand for game 2. They've got to get that thing back focused, get it under 10 points if they can.
Penny misses his second free throw. Looks short and right. You know, and we've said it a million times, for a guy that shoots it pinpoint accuracy, moving around, misses a couple. Abercrombie. Penny on a little handoff.
Like that. That is a very, very tough shot. Now, he makes it look too easy because he comes off and just goes straight up. But it's the preparation and the where he is key. Unlike at the free throw line, his footwork and positioning is absolutely textbook perfect.
A little bit of a 1-3-1 out here from the timeout from New Zealand. They're throwing it up a little bit.
Extra pass goes to Mills. DJ Anthony gets it to Kirk Penny.
6 of 19 now for Paddy Mills.
Tip goes to Newley. Abercrombie just struggling.
3 of 11 for Brad Newley. So when you think of your backcourt, your 1-2 guys, starting guys, not a great shooting night in the backcourt for the Boomers. And there you see the foul on Abercrombie. Brad Newley checks out. He's been solid. He's got eight rebounds, Brad Newley. Been a live wire on the glass. He's played 32.5 minutes. So key factor in Brett Brown's rotation. Paddy Mills has played almost 30 minutes, 6 of 20 from the field, 4 of 13 from the three-point line for his 19 points.
And Drew, don't forget to mention that Newley did a great job on Thomas Abercrombie.
Exactly.
You know what? And that's that third scorer that you guys have been referring to. Newley, although he didn't shoot the basketball well, he's been active everywhere else.
Very impressive with his defense, Steve, over here. I haven't seen him for 4 years, but he certainly didn't play like defense up in Townsville 5 years ago when he was there.
He's been a survivor on the European scene. playing in Lithuania last season, going back there again.
Marich with an 8-foot jump hook. Him and BJ Anthony.
Just pushing each other. I'm surprised there's... And there's...
That's where they have to be a little bit more disciplined. They've given up a lot of offensive fouls.
BJ Anthony, just a little move. Not a lot in it. Paddy Mills does a good job of selling it.
He gets fouled every time down the court, Paddy Mills.
You don't want him to use all his fouls up in this series. But Australia with all the answers, just a minute 38 to go against their trans-Tasman rivals, New Zealand Tall Blacks. This game got close often, but Australia, after that physical altercation, have come up with all the answers, lifted the intensity, and New Zealand hasn't been able to handle it. Let's listen in to the coaching staff. Brett Brown, Marty Clark, Andre Lamanis. Matter of fact, they're still having a few words, and now Brett Brown's on his way in.
1 through 5 is red on pick and roll. Yeah, everything. Now, it's going to be white to Payton, maybe, on Vicona. They dump it in, and you got to rotate. It's just the way it is. You got to rotate behind it. And maybe Penny's on that backside, just the way it is. Chase him off threes. Down at this end, they have to come in W. There's no time in the game. So, circle that. You're a 5-man. There's going to be no plays, fellas. They're going to come and hit you. You're a 5-man. You're circling back to the middle. Keep it spread. Rebound the ball.
Unlike it was when it was a 2-game series 2 years ago, when points differential played a very significant part, because they split. Australia won at home, New Zealand won at home, but because New Zealand had their biggest ever win by 22 points over Australia, that got them the series win. This one is a best of 3, so points differentiation is going to be nothing. So Brett Brown expecting there'd be a lot of fouls, but not the case.
I must admit, I'm not crazy about that 2-game points for and against. Matt Nielsen with a long jump hook that's good. That's about a 10-footer.
It wasn't a full-blooded hook. It was almost like a chuck at the ring.
Same again. They had single coverage on the post. I think that might be a bit of a change-up. How good's that?
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Kirk Penny. His team has gone down, but he has put on a show.
He's off to Spain.
Thank God.
Fuan Labrado, I'm sure that's not how you pronounce it, but that's how it sort of reads. He's going to play in Spain. It's just apparently just 100 kilometres or so outside of Madrid. Don't quote me on that. I know it's 100 kilometres outside one of the major cities.
Well, I think he got a big offer last year, and he sacrificed that to stay with the Breakers and get that championship last year. So well done, and hope you have a long and successful career in Europe.
He's already spent some good time over there. Played in Israel, played in the Euro League, so he's played in the NBA.
And Paddy Mills. Less than 30 seconds to go. Little cross up. Off the backboard, no good. He'll get it back out and get a new shot clock.
Paddy Mills trying a little bit of razzle-dazzle. You see what he's capable of. Just breaking the defensive pressure down off the dribble.
Jared Kenny trying to do the defensive job on Patrick Mills.
What a sensational crowd tonight, just coming in here, and you feel the buzz straight away. To be September in Melbourne and got a buzz about basketball that really whets your appetite for October 7th.
And good night for Australian basketball all round, because the Opals, they also took a 1-0 lead against New Zealand in the women's qualification, Oceania qualification series. So real good night for Australian basketball.
Brett Brown will get Patrick Mills a blow. And the fans here in Melbourne get a taste of what's in store for them when they come to a Melbourne Tigers game here at the Cage.
October 7th, it tips off. Melbourne Tigers with their new head coach Trevor Gleeson with a mountain of pressure on his head. Taking on
we're undefeated. Very good.
Taking on the Sydney Kings.
DJ Anthony has a shot blocked, and that is all. This one is in the books. Game 1 of the best-of-3 series of the 2011 FIBA Oceania Championships goes to Australia. The Boomers up 1 in their quest to qualify for the Olympic Games in 2012 in London.
They got a scare in the first half, and we saw what New Zealand are capable of. And New Zealand would still be very confident about their chances. They would understand that in the balance in that third quarter, they let it get away and they weren't able to reel it back in. But they showed that they can compete with this Boomers team on the back of some brilliant play by Kirk Penny.
Yeah, the Boomers' defence in that second quarter was really outstanding, holding them to 33 points. It was a telling factor for the victory.
It certainly was. 33 points in the second half. That is a great performance. And 13 points in the third quarter was very telling.
Roger Aldridge has the captain for the Australian Boomers.
Yeah, down here with Matty Nielsen. And Matty, it's one of sport's great international rivalries, and there was certainly no love lost out there this evening.
No, definitely. I think obviously we've got a lot to play for. Boys been really focused, and I mean we just want to come out and play as hard as possible. And we probably went over the line a little bit, but we're not backing down, and that's no problem to us.
When the game got even more physical, it seemed to lift you and your boys. Did you feel that?
Oh, definitely. I mean, we're not built upon trying to go over the line with that stuff, but like I said, we're not going to back down, so we're ready to go. And I felt like it probably did lift the intensity, but I want to make sure that we play like that no matter what.
You're one step closer to London 2012, a big game too coming up in Brisbane on Friday night.
Yeah, big time. I think they showed the nerves probably in the first half. We didn't quite get the way we wanted it going, but it's one step, and we obviously want to finish it as soon as possible. And Brisbane's the idea.
Good luck with that. Thanks very much. Matty Nielsen, the Australian captain there. The Boomers victorious here at the Cage in Game 1 of the Oceania Series.
Well, it was a physical game. Andrew Gaze predicted it. A lot on the line as we had a couple of skirmishes, but the result goes to Australia, 91-78. The Australian Boomers get first blood in this best-of-3 series, and I tell you what, with the physical play, it showed just how important this game is as both teams try to qualify for the Olympics.
And as you said during the call, Steve, you wonder which way that emotional outburst will go, and it certainly went the way of the home team, the Boomers, tonight, and they made the most of it. As you take a look at the stats, the Boomers there shot the ball slightly better at 45%, ended up shooting at 32% from the three-point line, and had a few more extra free throws, but that's a little bit down, only shooting 68%. But one of the big key factors was that rebounding count, and their size with that 45 rebounds to 33 was significant in the end result.
Well, no doubt that Game 2 will be just as physical as Game 1, but look for New Zealand, as you said, to continue to execute their half-court offense very well. But once this physical play started, it just seemed like Australia went to another level. New Zealand tried to match it, but it just seemed like Australia started pounding into their bigs and got some very nice play out of Brad Newley, not just from the perimeter, but just making it happen with his athleticism and his intensity.
Well, that was the first little incident there, and Mark Worthington, it ended up in his way because he ended up sucking Casey Frank into a foul. But here was the more aggressive one. Mark Dickel just blowing his arms around and throws Matty Dellavedova. Matty Nielsen comes in, and then Mika Vukona comes in. The game was in well and truly the Boomers' control at that stage, but you have to give credit for New Zealand the way they played this game out. They played hard. They didn't give up anything throughout the game, but they really need to find some more scoring options. Kirk Penny was fantastic, and Mika Vukona, the only two players in double figures. They get an extra firepower. Look out, they could still come back.
All right, well, if you like that one, you're going to enjoy Game 2 in Brisbane on Friday. Make sure you join us with that. Andrew Gaze, of course, for joining me as expert commentary, and Trevor Gleeson, the head coach for the Melbourne Tigers now. Thank him for his commentary tonight. We'll see you on Friday.